Hi, it's me again, your favorite designer, Pedro. And I am here today to talk about, well, you guessed it, brands. Why brands? Well, because they're all around us. They're in our food, our fashion, our technology, and also in your favorite booze. Brands are all around us, and they're supposed to make things distinctive, recognizable, and familiar. And familiar is a very important word here. Why, you ask? Well, because of people. People relate to what's familiar. For example, 83% of consumers prefer to buy from brands they trust, that they're familiar with. 77% of consumers have been loyal to at least one brand for over 10 years. 65% of a company's overall revenue comes from existing loyal customers. And 90% of customers are willing to pay more if they're purchasing from a brand they trust. And that's why brands are all around us, because they work. And they can also work for you. So, welcome, and let's learn how to jumpstart your brand in 5 steps. Starting with step 1, introspection. So, what's introspection, anyways? Well, according to Oxford Languages, it's the examination or observation of one's own mental and emotional process. And yes, you have to do that for your business. You need to understand yourself. And the simplest way to do that is with a simple 3-step process. First, what you're selling. Second, to whom it's sold. And third, why they buy from you. And I can give you a clear example here. Let's say, for example, Coca-Cola. What is Coca-Cola selling? Fizzy drinks. To whom it's sold? Well, we can say arguably the entire planet. And why they buy them? Because it's sugary and delicious? But is it though? Is it really the reason you buy it? I mean, you could buy from any other brand. You could just make your own soda at home, and yet you choose to buy from Coca-Cola. And this is how Coca-Cola sells itself to you. They talk about the magic happening together, about sharing Coke with a friend, about the good things that comes in forth to open a Coke and open happiness, about a smile in summer, and about tasting the feeling. The thing about Coca-Cola is that what they're selling is happiness. And the same goes for other brands like Adobe. Adobe doesn't sell software, it sells creativity. Salesforce sells collaboration. And Apple sells simplicity. So when you look at this process again, you can be a bit less objective and more subjective in what you're selling. You're not selling the product, you're selling the benefit of it, or you're selling the message of your product. So examine yourself and try to find out what is it that you're selling, to whom, and why they buy it from you. These are the 3 most important questions you must ask yourself in order to start creating your brand. And so we go into step 2. Research. Research what? Well, 3 things: the market, the competition, and the customer. Again, a 3-step process. When we talk about the market, we must ask, is there a real opportunity here? Is it currently explored? And is there a gap to be filled? Now, when we ask, is there a real opportunity, that means essentially, will people buy from you? Will you actually have a consumer market or a customer in the end? If it's actually being explored, you have the old saying of marketing, the blue ocean and red ocean markets. The red ocean is already being explored, but maybe there's still space for you. And the blue ocean hasn't been explored properly yet. There's plenty of space that you can take. As an example, red ocean would be to create a new taxi company that maybe had a differential, while a blue ocean would be to create Uber. Now, is there a gap to be filled? And this one is important. Do people actually want what you are selling? Will you actually create a bridge to what they need, what they want to achieve? Is that what your product or service is providing them? So let's talk about opportunity and what real opportunity means. This was the first tablet created by Microsoft and in partnership with HP. It was released in 2002, and the question is, was it a real opportunity? I mean, nowadays, we know that it wasn't. It actually flopped. No one actually bought it, and no one saw an utility for it. And at the time, it wasn't currently explored. It was what we would call a blue ocean market, because tablets virtually didn't exist. But the problem is, it was so unexplored that you had no infrastructure over it, meaning that it would be like being stranded on a desert island. They needed infrastructure, right? You needed boats, a pier, something that would make that island more attractive and not just a dead end. And that's why the iPod, the iPhone, and the iTunes were so important, because years later, these free products and services, they provided that infrastructure. You already had the use of mobile apps, you already had music playing on mobile devices, you had mobile internet, and then their question would be if there was a gap then. And the gap, in this case, would be a bigger screen, something that could be used professionally or as a general use tool that you could keep it at home or even bring to work in a more mobile format. And that's why the iPad was successful. But what if the technology is there, the infrastructure is there, the consumer market is there, but there isn't really a gap? Well, then you get Google Glass. It had great infrastructure. Google was already there. Social media was already there. The idea of filming on the go with your mobile device was there. But the truth is, people didn't want it. It felt like an invasion of privacy to have, your glasses filming everything you do. And because there was no gap, that meant that there was no opportunity. Which brings us to step 3. Positioning. Positioning is the unique value a brand presents to its customer. And in order to have good positioning, you need to first make sure that you know the people you're selling to, starting by which people you're selling to from the entire market. What is their age? What is their gender, their income, their country, education, profession, hobbies maybe? Because maybe you can try and sell to an entire country's population, but that will make you too generic. There will be no advantage on buying from you in comparison to any of your competitors, especially the more well-positioned ones. There will be no real differentiation and nothing that creates that familiarity that a brand demands. But if you choose a target within that population, that makes your life a bit easier, because then you can understand what they need, what they're looking for. If they want something a bit more technical or a bit more emotional, you can provide it to them because you have the data to support it. Now, you do not want a target that is too big or too small. Now, sure, different targets will have different sizes. If it's a more popular brand, you can expect it to be slightly bigger, while a luxury brand will have a smaller target audience for obvious reasons. But what you need to know is that your market will never be unlimited, and you'll need to understand who you're trying to sell to. And then once you understand the market, you need to start researching your competitors. Why your competitors? Well, as Martin Neumeyer likes to say, when everyone zigs, you zag. What does this mean? It means that if you look into your competitors and most of them are at very low price or very high price, that means you will have an opportunity in the middle. And when every competitor you have tends to be more sober in their brand, you can differentiate yourself by being more playful. The same thing on a technical versus aesthetic brand. If everyone follows a more aesthetic brand, you can be more technical. Again, if everyone zigs, you zag. And the same go for your colors. If all of your competitors are in blue and purple, you have a big opportunity on the yellows, reds, and oranges. Because to be positioned is to be different. That is your objective. And to be different is to be remembered. People will look at you and they will recognize you because compared to everyone else, you are unique. And once you have that position in place, it's time to document it by writing your mission, your vision, and your values. Now, your mission is the purpose of your organization. It's the reason for its existence. It's what you do, why you do it, and who you do it for. And it's properly written down and documented. Now, a vision is what guides an organization towards its goals and long-term direction. It's what the company wants to be like in the long run, what you imagine the world will be like if your company is successful. And then you have values. And the values are the ethical and moral principles at the core of the organizational culture. Most companies have a set of values they seek to abide by at all times, and those values can vary. You can use transparency, accountability, passion, but there are no restrictions to which values you can have at the core of your company. And the idea with positioning is to give your company clarity. Well, not just your company, but also your customers. Your company has clarity on who it attends to, who it sells to, who it's serving, while your customers have clarity on the exact same thing, if your company is supposed to serve them and attend to their needs. So in this way, you create this proper match made in heaven between your company and your clients. Which brings us to step 4, identity, also called a logo. And the question here is, what is a logo? And of course, we've all seen logos before, again for food or for technology or any other type of companies. And the logo is a graphic mark, emblem, or symbol that is used to aid and promote public identification and recognition. That's according to Wikipedia. And what this means is, a logo is a symbol that represents a brand. Again, it represents a brand, it's not your entire brand, and it's supposed to be easy to remember. Like for example, this one. You can easily recognize where it's from, even in black and white. Or this one. You've probably all seen it already. Or this one. Or especially this one. Because when we're talking about a logo, simple is better. And that's why plenty of brands have simplified their logos over the years to make them easier to identify and recognize. And it's not just a trend in a couple of companies. No, most big brands have been doing this, and they've been doing this consistently. Some of them actually reverse back to their original ideas, like Microsoft Windows here. And the reason for that is that simple is better because simple is memorable. The simpler the shape, the easier it is to memorize it. And you might ask, is memorable all it needs to be? And the answer is yes. As Sagi Haviv says, a good logo will gain meaning over time. This logo here, without the decades of history of McDonald's, means nothing. This logo, like the brand, was built over time. It was designed right in the beginning, but then it grew together with the brand. And it's just simple, easy to remember. So is this. The meaning behind the apple, which to be fair could be just a fruit company, it grew as Apple grew as a company. And it's now probably the biggest brand value out there. So is Johnny Walker. Without the brand history, this logo means nothing. And so is TikTok, which gained a whole lot of meaning in very short time. And then again, what makes a difference is that it's simple and easy to memorize. Let me reiterate that most great logos mean nothing on their own. They gained meaning over time because of their brand and not the opposite. And by now you might ask, hey Pedro, what else is there? I mean, we are positioned, we have a logo, we're good, right? No, there's still one step left, step 5, which is a system. And a system, by definition, is a set of standards, components, and documentation to be used across a brand, making it consistent and recognizable. And one way to be consistent is with colors. And again, if you did your positioning homework right, you already know that your color opportunity is mostly based on your competitors. If everyone zigs, you zag. And once you picked your colors based on the spectrum, then you can just divide and document them. Make sure that you have the colors all set up. And of course, You can have primary colors and secondary ones. The primary colors will be the front of your brand, while secondary will be supporting colors. And of course, you can use your colors in different ways. Maybe you can use them flat, in a gradient, or in combination. And with the colors defined, you can move on to fonts. Now, a font is a specific design of alphabetical characters. It works like a written accent to your brand in this case. It's the way that you will sound visually. And you can choose your fonts between serif and sans serif. And the serifs are those little decorations at the end of the font design, while the sans serif doesn't have it. And you can also choose the type of serif that you like to have, a Roman one, a black letter, humanist, transitional, didonic, or a slab serif. And even for non-serifed fonts, you can choose different formats. It can be a grotesque, a geometric, or a humanist one. And you also have all sorts of modern design fonts. It can be a scripted, a textured, a hybrid font, a pixelated, grungy, a composite. You can go for Art Nouveau, or you have a volumetric font. There's a limitless amount of those. And you can just pick them depending on how your brand wants to be seen and heard. And of course, again, this is a big part of positioning. And of course, combining different fonts is also an option. Now let's move on to graphics. Graphics are an important part of a brand, and there's plenty of ways of using them. You can use abstract graphics. You can use mascots. You can use photography. And you can combine them. Photos with abstract graphics, or photos with mascots. Or maybe you want to add product photography combined with a person or an environment. Or you can add mascots to your product photography. Or maybe you have a digital product, and again, you can add the mascots to it, or add a photography in combination. The possibilities are limitless. It's just a matter of creating your own set of rules. Understanding that if you are a people-first company, maybe you want more people photography. If you're a product-first company, maybe you want to have your products in display. Doesn't mean that you cannot combine them. Just make sure that you have this aligned to your positioning. And then you have voice and tone. And this is more about the writing and how you communicate. Because voice and tone are how your brand communicates with the world. That's according to Christina Adams in the Writing Cooperative. And she also says that a voice is your personality, while your tone is your mood. And a voice, like your personality, will stay consistent over time, while the tone will change with the context. Now, what's your corporate personality like? Again, positioning will help you with that. If all of your competitors are on the sober side, you can be more playful with your voice. If everyone else is more emotional, you can be more technical. And you can map your competitors across different values in order to reach a proper voice. Because good positioning will help bring your voice up. You will find it in there. But what about the tone? Well, then it's a matter of context, right? Your voice will be consistent, but your tone will change, for example, on Pride celebration. Or if you're writing an article, it's a different tone altogether. Maybe it's a bit more technical, a bit more explanatory. Or if you have winter holidays, maybe, then it's a different tone as well. And your voice must be flexible enough that it can adapt to different tones across different campaigns and necessities. And voice and tone, combined with graphics, fonts, and colors, will create a system for your brand. A system that, if well crafted, will help you shine and scale your brand, will keep your brand consistent while it evolves over the years. And this is how to jumpstart your brand in 5 steps. Thanks for watching.